Everything in this place is trying to kill me. Now, before I go, Joker, I have something I want to... Joker? Joker?
Riddle me this, riddle me that. Who wears a straitjacket, watches too much TV, and doesn't belong here? You have 1 minute to answer before I call Mr. Zaz.
Things just keep getting better and better.
Well, get talking. My patience is wearing thin. Who are you, and why are you here?
My name is LaserDude99. I am a comic book YouTube reviewer, and the Joker's trapped me in this asylum and has forced me to review Arkham Asylum related material. Man, just saying that out loud sounded really dumb.
Oh, either you're insane or you're telling the truth. Man, considering all the crazy that lives within this place and all the crazy that lives within that clown, either is possible, really. Now tell me, Mr. LaserDude, do you happen to be popular on YouTube?
Well, I have a... No, not really.
In the few seconds it took me to look you up on YouTube, it appears that you only have about 1,000 subscribers, a bit more. Is that true?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Have you ever happened to call that clown silly, stupid, something along those lines?
No, not at all. I mean, I always said that he was one of Batman's best villains.
But that does leave a massive, gaping hole in your story. Why you?
I don't know! I guess I'm just not smart enough to figure a crazy mind like the Joker out. It would take a mind much greater than mine to figure it out.
What makes you think I have time to dabble in your petty matters? Why should I care?
I mean, it's an interesting riddle, isn't it? Why would a madman throw an internet reviewer into an insane asylum and force him to review things that he probably would have reviewed anyway?
Alright, I suppose I could give you 1 day of my time, but I'm gonna make it a bit more interesting. Let's just say I'm gonna ask you a riddle. If you get it right on the first time, and I will help you. If you happen to get it wrong, I'm going to have a little friend of mine, Mr. Zaz, come and, take a shiv to your bones until bone marrow comes out, and I'm not going to explain further. All I know is it's very painful. Written in a book. Don't want to know what book.
I don't think anyone can really be ready after hearing something like that, but I don't think there's any turning back now. Go ahead.
Wonderful! Here's the riddle. A black cat walks across the street. There is no stars out tonight, and there is no moon. The lights are all turned out upon the streets. There are no lights in the buildings nearby, and a car drives along the street, both of its headlights busted, and yet it still manages to swerve away and miss the cat. How did he do it? Riddle me this.
Check my head, I guess the joke's on me. Whoa, I'm not laughing at the irony. Oh no.
Wasn't bad enough to be put in a do-or-die situation with a riddle, which I think is a lot to handle for anyone on a Thursday. Oh, if that wasn't bad enough, Scarface has made it pretty clear that he wants me dead. And I've been made sure that I stay in my cell because I don't want to run into any of the other cycles, but today I had to get something to eat, and I found myself a coin toss away from being stabbed in my eyeballs. I am hoping that for once in his life, the Joker will keep his end of the bargain. But with my luck, he'll probably set everything straight, I'll be set out of Arkham, and he'll be there in a car waiting for me and shoot me. I haven't showered since I've been here, and Oh man, I reek. But there's no way I'm getting into one of these showers, because if you have read the book that we're reviewing today, then you know why. There's no way I'm going anywhere near a shower. Anyway, I was almost relieved when I finally got the book that I was supposed to review today, thinking that at the very least it'll help me take my mind off of my horrible experience here in Arkham Asylum. But instead, it was more of a reminder of it. Anyways, let's not put this off any longer. Hello everyone, welcome to Arkham Week, and today we're reviewing Arkham Asylum Living Hell. Arkham Asylum Living Hell came out in 2003. This story revolves around a man by the name of Warren White, who, in this story, the judge says has perpetrated the largest act of stock fraud in history. However, he is found not guilty because of reasons of insanity. Now, the judge, realizing that he has paid off the jury, decides to send him to the worst place he could possibly go, Arkham Asylum. Of course, little does White know that he probably would be better off rotting in jail than staying a day in Arkham Asylum. Trust me on this. I think one of this book's greatest accomplishments is that we find White a sympathetic character. And that is really impressive considering even the Joker calls him the worst person he has ever met. And yet we still kind of sympathize with him. I mean, there's a part of us that say, yeah, this guy destroyed people's lives, so screw him. Let him, he deserves to get what he wants. But on the other hand, you're like, man, it would suck to be in Arkham Asylum. It does! This book was written by Dan Slott, who you might remember as the writer of Spider-Man. He's been working on Spider-Man for a while and is the brains behind the Superior Spider-Man. With penciling in this book done by Ryan Sook. Through the eyes of Warren White, who in this book is dubbed Fish by the crazy inmates of Arkham Asylum, he gets to see how truly a crazy place Arkham Asylum really is and how it ruins people's lives. And not just Warren White's. We also get to see the staff at Arkham and how Arkham really destroys every inch of their life, that they're stuck working at this sick place. And we get to see how it ruins the lives of the doctors and the staff in different ways. One of the characters that you might recognize that was created in this book is Aaron Cash. You see him in the Arkham games. He's a security guard that had his hand bit off by Killer Croc. And after his hand was bitten off, Aaron Cash is terrified of Killer Croc. I mean, there's a point where he's just beating on the Riddler, and they say, we need backup, Killer Croc is loose, and he freezes, and he says, I need to handle the Riddler, and they're like, come on, the Riddler, seriously?
What exactly are you implying?
No disrespect or anything, it's just that the Riddler is obviously a more intelligent threat, where Killer Croc is obviously a more physical one, and it takes more than one guy to bring him down.
Alright, continue. And remember, I still want that riddle answered.
Hey, stop interrupting. Friggin' can a clown kidnap a stinking internet reviewer and then place said internet reviewer in Arkham and force him to review stuff in peace?
Another member of the staff is Jeremiah Arkham, who is a bitter man in this book, and rightfully so. In fact, he denies Warren White a cell transfer to a minimum security prison, mostly because of Warren White's schemes. He lost his pension. And so his small solace in the world is to see that this guy rots in Arkham Asylum. And then there's this Dr. Ann Carver, whose life seems almost ruined by Arkham Asylum. Every aspect of it seems to destroy her life, and this book goes into that in more detail. We also get some new psychos in this book, and some of them have become pretty interesting Batman villains that have appeared in other comics, and some of these guys in Beware the Batman. One of the more interesting ones is Jane Doe, who has no personality of herself, but craves the personalities of others. So rather than just acting like someone, what does she do? Oh, she carves off their skin and wears it. And then she takes that person's identity for herself. I am so glad that this character became a C-list Batman villain, because it is so hard to find a female character that is both disturbing, intriguing, and also a match for Batman. There is also Humpty Dumpty that originated in this book, and of course Warren White himself, who by the end of this book becomes the Great White Shark. The art in this book is really good. It's dark and twisted, and Arkham Asylum looks like such a hellhole. The only complaints I have for designs would be the Joker, because his face looks a little too long. It looks like a stretch arm they got stretched out a little bit. That's a personal preference, and I'm not a big fan of the way Joker's face looks. But besides that, everything else is great. The majority of the story is White, just facing this insanity day after day. And you come to the realization that when it comes to facing this much insanity, you have three choices. Try to run and hide from it, face it head on and battle it every day like Batman, or accept it and let it shape who you are. Now there's some in this book that I'm not sure how well it fits, because near the end of the story, Arkham Asylum literally becomes a living hell when these demon-like creatures take over and try to summon this demon beast to them. I'm conflicted about this, because on the one hand, it's a good ending. I mean, the way it ends with Warren White and these demons is a really creative ending for this story. However, you gotta ask the question, does the supernatural element fit in this story, considering it's mostly about Batman villains, which are all realistic in nature? I mean, it's odd to have spirits from hell in a story that is mostly about human madness. However, I will say that it doesn't fully just come out of left field, and the supernatural element feels like it came out of nowhere. It is hinted at, and you get to see Jason Blood in the story, who is, of course, Etrigan, so you know that there could be some supernatural elements to the story, so it's well set up. I'm just wondering if they should have gone the supernatural element to the story, or if they just should have gone with a more human one. However, despite my wondering why it is in there, it still makes for an interesting conflict for Warren White and a good transition from him to be Fish to the Great White Shark. For complaints of this book, one of them that I kind of have is that Batman's big villains like Joker, Scarecrow, and Killer Croc are mostly in the background of the story, and the only big villain that gets to have a central part in this story is Two-Face. But that isn't a huge deal. In fact, in some ways, it almost makes them look more intimidating. However, when I buy a book called Arkham Asylum, I expect to see the Joker more than 3 times. Actually, my biggest complaint of this book is how they treat the Riddler.
What do you mean?
Well, you're kind of seen as a joke.
What?
When White first comes to Arkham Asylum, he looks at the Riddler and laughs him off, thinking that, oh, I didn't know I was supposed to dress up for a costume party, and he looks at the Riddler like a joke. And then later, Cash is beating the crap out of the Riddler, like he's nothing, and has no power. And then at the end of the book, he's acting giddy as a schoolboy that White might get him a helicopter with a question mark on it. Whee! Yeah, I don't like that. My point being is, no matter what Batman villain you use, unless it's like Maxie's Zeus or the Condiment King, there's always going to be a fan of that character. And to treat one like an idiot or a joke, that's not something I enjoy.
I find that an understatement. Whoever wrote this book is going to find a pile of rubble where his house used to be.
No, Riddle, you can't do that.
What do you mean I can't?
He's working for Marvel now.
So?
The DC Marvel Act of 1989 says that no supervillain can kill, maim, or destroy personal property of a writer that works for another company to avoid a writer slaughter. Because then you have you killing that writer, then one of their characters kills a writer on your book, and it's just a mess.
Fine.
Despite Arkham Asylum Living Hell not having as much praise or popularity as Arkham Asylum, A Serious House on a Serious Earth, I'd say it's more influential than that story, at least to the Batman characters. I mean, just think about the characters that it's brought to the comic book world that are still around. Aaron Cash, Jane Doe, Humpty Dumpty, and Warren White. That's 4 characters that this story has added. Now, of course, truthfully, that's before the New 52. I don't know how many of those characters are in the New 52 or involved at all. But still, to create 4 characters that other people use is an accomplishment. Heck, it's an accomplishment to do it for 1. And I will say this is probably the most realistic take, except for the supernatural element at the end, of Arkham Asylum and how it's run. It's thought through how the cells work, when the times are let out, and who's let out. For example, in Arkham Asylum Madness, you saw the Joker walking around like he was just a regular prisoner. where I'm just like, no, that doesn't work. And here, the Joker is always accompanied by someone, and they always check him every, 5 seconds. In fact, the only times you see him is either during the breakout or when he's accompanied to a shower. So maybe he is in a cell all day long, and we just don't know. Anyway, regardless of a few things here or there, I think that Arkham Asylum Living Hell is probably the second best Arkham book around. Only second to Arkham Asylum, A Serious House on a Serious Earth. The art is dirty and twisted, and the characters are twisted and gruesome. The story is dark and shows what truly a horrible place Arkham Asylum is. And it shows how it can take someone who wasn't necessarily insane going in and make him one of the crazies going out. It's dark, it's twisted, it's interesting, it's got everything. And it gets an 8 out of 10 from me.
Well done, Liquor Food.
It's Laser Dude!
Whatever. Good job on completing Arkham Week.
Wait, that isn't it.
Yes, it is.
No, it isn't. There's still... Never mind.
Still is what?
Forget about it. I didn't say anything.
Okay, let's put this another way. Tell me before I set your cell on fire with you inside of it as I watch your little flesh burn alive, and then I laugh and have a jolly little show. Tell me.
Arkham Origins? I mean, the reason I do these videos in the first place?
Alright, then you're gonna stay alive for one more day. Now just stay still while I go get the game.
Well, maybe at least playing a video game will help take my mind off of this horrible place.
Okay, time's up. Answer the riddle. Get it right, and I'll explain why the Joker chose you. Get it wrong, and you'll find out what it is to end up on the wrong side of the knife.
Help me? No, seriously, help me! I don't have any idea. Put your comments below the answer. Help!
Well, if our young reviewer survives till tomorrow, join us for the conclusion of Arkham Week as we review Arkham Origins. See y'all next time.
Riddle me this now and riddle me that. Does anyone really know the mind of